shall go.
Okay, hi, we are presenting on Rover, and we are creating an on-demand dog walking experience built on trust.
My name is Jen.
I'm Julie.
I'm Hing.
Niyati.
And I'm Rosie.
So in 2011, Rover began by creating a marketplace for dog boarding and dog sitting services. These services operate on a browse model where the owners get to choose which dog sitters they want. So when Rover introduced Rover Now, they automated that selection process entirely, which made it easy and quick for the users, but gave them less control over who was going to come into their home and take care of their dog, which is a huge hurdle of trust for many of them. So the design challenge from Rover was, how might we build trust to increase engagement and the number of users on Rover Now?
So we really wanted to understand what the problem space was. We went on to Google and tried to find as much as we could before we even talked to dog owners. There was a lot of hits. People liked Rover. They liked it if they moved to a new town, if they didn't have a really close social network, if they were in a rush. There was a lot of positives about Rover. However, there was also a lot of misses. Some misses that tied into unclear policies or the vetting process, and then some real serious concerns, especially with news related to dog deaths or just walkers. I mean, that's the worst possible news that dog owners would see about the Rover service.
So to analyze the problem space, we dove deep into the research. We did user interviews to gain qualitative insights. We sent out a survey to broaden our quantitative data. We did a comparative analysis to understand where Rover was in the industry, and we did usability testing of the current experience and our prototype to understand behavioral impact.
So to understand how the other on-demand pet care services are building trust, we decided to do a comparative analysis by measuring Rover against their most direct competition, WAG and Barkley, and also more neighborhood and localized services like Hot Diggity. And on the completely other end, we also looked at indirect competitors like Urban Sitter, which is basically on-demand nanny service. And to start off, everyone is talking about trust right in their taglines. So what really sets Rover apart was the question we were asking ourselves. And what this also reaffirmed to us was trust is really important of a problem to solve. Also, at a very broad level, some of the misses that we found for Rover was that the more localized the pet care company was, the greater their vetting process actually was. They were investing a lot of time in building trust by calling out their guarantees, how they vet their walkers, and they were using it in the marketing. And also, as you move through the entire experience, they were really baking trust into all the steps of the user's journey, right from the onboarding, giving users a selection to choose their walkers, all the way to getting a confirmation and to rebooking their walkers.
So based on all of our research, we believe that by giving dog owners more options and control over their on-demand walker, they would gain the level of confidence and trust necessary to overcome any hesitation when trying Rover Now for the first time.
So in the current experience, they have this onboarding process that starts to be very transactional in the very beginning. So we're bringing that back to a more personal experience. And then also in the preferences, it's a very small intake form currently. So we're adding more personalization in terms of choosing preferences, in terms of who they want as a walker. And also we changed the walker selection screen from an assignment model to having the freedom to choose who they want their walker to be. Also in the current experience of the review section, you can only see it after you are assigned a walker. So we are allowing users to sort their reviews beforehand.
So one of the first things we actually learned about the dog owners we studied was that when using pet care services, many of them couldn't actually be home to hand over their pet. 72% use pet care services when they're out of town and 42% while at work, which means they are which means they have to figure out some way to figure out how to let somebody into their house when they're not there. We talked to a lot of people like Sally who are just not comfortable with having a stranger enter their house when she's not there. And so what users like Sally usually do is try and find somebody that they know and trust first. But when that's not possible, they use a service like Rover. And so when we asked people how they go about finding a pet care service, 75% go to a trusted source to ask for a recommendation, and a significant amount also use their personal network and social network in some way to find a recommendation. So our first recommendation is to integrate personal network into the Rover Now experience. That way they can see which of their friends are using Rover, but also see which Rover walkers their friends have used before. And that just brings them several degrees closer to booking someone they can trust.
So in our new experience, we integrated this onboarding screen that says that you have the ability to connect to your Facebook account if you want to, in order to be able to see mutual connections between you as the walker and you as the user between the walker. And also, this is the second screen that you would see in terms of seeing the walkers. You would be able to see how many connections that you have and be able to make a quicker decision that way, and also have a sense of security and trust in who you're booking.
So to drive in this level of social proof into our design solutions, we front load this information to the users when they're looking through their top 3 walker matches. As you can see on the walker cards, there is a tag that tells them at a high level who of their connections have hired this walker before. And when you go into the detailed walker page, you can also see more in depth which of your connections have used this walker. So for our next recommendation, one of the things we wanted to uncover were what were the biggest concerns that users had when leaving their dog with a walker. And the top 2 things that we found were users are concerned that the walker is not going to care for their dog, and they're really concerned about the criminal record of the walker. And 89% of our survey respondents also said that the ability to meet in person is very important to them. We met so many users like Robin who have a lot of anxiety with leaving their pets in the hands of a stranger, and they really need to personally meet and vet the walkers that are going to be taking care of their dogs.
So even though Rover Now has a pretty sound onboarding process in place, for users like Robin, it was still very important to personally vet their walkers. To allow them more flexibility around who they want as their walker, our second recommendation is to provide more ways to get in touch with your walker before actually booking your service. So to do that, next slide. So to do that, we are giving users more control over who they want as their walker by providing 2 main features. One is by putting in the profile video of the walker. So now the walkers can record their video, put it in their profile, and this provides a more personalized way of introducing themselves, which potentially could lead to larger or higher bookings. Also, for providing more ways to meet to the walker, if users choose so, they can actually meet with their walker before by actually using 3 different features, which is either through simply just texting the walker or setting up a call or a video conference beforehand. And if they have the time and the availability, they can meet the walker in person. By combining these solutions, the users are more comfortable in making the decision around who they want as their walker, and this could potentially lead to lesser cancellations in case they are not satisfied with the walker who's been matched to them.
All right, so now we have also met people like John, and John is someone who has a dog that is very quirky, maybe a little nervous sometimes, maybe just takes a while to get to know people. And so for John, he spends a lot of time browsing. He wants to browse and find the best walker that fits his exact dog's needs. So with John in mind, our recommendation is we want to match dogs with the right walker for their needs, for the dog's needs. So it's putting the dog's needs ahead of any kind of walker. So our solution is we actually created walker preferences. So this is where you can define your ideal walker for your dog. You can quickly select your preferences. We do save these for future bookings. This is a new feature that's a part of the That's not a part of the Rover Now experience. This is where you could say if you had a preference on gender. Some people we interviewed said, you know, I really don't want a male coming into my house. I live alone. I'm a woman. You know, but there's also no preference. Maybe gender doesn't matter. Once you've selected your preferences, it would give you a match notice, which leads into our next solution.
So we also talked to a lot of people like Alex who only really use pet care services like Rover on those occasional emergencies. And so when he needs to book somebody, it's usually he needs to book someone pretty fast. And so that's true for 52% of the people we surveyed who book pet care services on a last minute need. So our recommendation is to figure out what people use as their key decision influencers and show them the right data at the right time so they can make quick, informed decisions along the way. And what we uncovered is 93% say ratings and reviews are very important to informing their decision, and it actually came out to be the #1 most important determining factor for when booking a walker.
So our solution around that is firstly to give users a choice over which kind of walker do they want. The current Rover experience does not allow you to pick your walker's choice. So as a solution, we are front-loading 3 most recommended walkers based on the intake process that we did earlier. If the users, they can look at the metrics that we are showing right here, which is the distance of the walker from their dog, how many of their friends have used the same walker if they choose to sign in through Facebook, the total number of reviews, and just how many walks have they walked in general, because that speaks to their experience level with Rover. If the users are still not satisfied or do not think that these are the correct matches for them, they have an option to use the filter, and when they use that, they can match the walkers that are more suited to their specific needs.
In the current experience, you can't see the reviews, but also until after you book the walker. But then you also can't sort your reviews. So we made it possible to sort by most recent, highest to lowest, and lowest to highest. And by giving that ability, the walker can choose, or the user can choose their walker based on an informed decision of positive and negative reviews.
So to kind of consolidate what we have been talking about right now, we are proposing a Rover Now solution that has transparency from start to the finish. Transparency and clear process is baked into every part of the Rover experience for the users. So really starting off with the onboarding screen for the first time users of Rover Now to drive them through what to expect in the app. Moving forward from there and reminding users that safety is Rover's #1 priority at the right time, especially when they have to make a decision around what kind of walker do they want to select. Moving forward from there is using the social media integration into it and showing users their friends on Facebook who have used the same walker as they want to. And this really provides them a tangible connection to go off from. And lastly is to set their expectations even after their walk has been booked by showing a clear confirmation screen, by providing them snippets of what their details look like, and also giving them an ability to cancel the walk really quickly within 2 minutes without getting charged on it. So moving forward from here, to consolidate all the features that we have talked about right now, the experience really starts with building trust within your community. And we are doing that by integrating the personalized network and leveraging that beyond just a login process, and really using that to show how you can connect to your friends who use the same service. The next is keeping our communication very personalized and very less transactional. It's all about the dog, it's all about their needs and preferences. Giving users an ability to choose their walkers that are based on their preferences and needs of the dog. And giving them a choice to look at the top 3 recommendations of walkers, really putting them in charge of the process rather than Rover assigning you to a walker that you do not prefer. And lastly, showing the right metrics at the right time so users can make a quick informed decision even though it's an assignment model. We really want to limit the time users spend on this process and give them the metrics that matter to them the most. And lastly is providing them with meet and greet solutions so they can actually connect with their walkers before actually booking a service, check out their reviews, check out their ratings, and if they choose to, even connect with them and speak in person.
Okay, so we did a lot of tests. We talked to a lot of people. In 4 rounds of testing, we had an increase in positive feedback, and 100% of users said that they really enjoyed the experience overall. They said it made them feel trustworthy. I love what Lauren says here. She's a current Rover Now user. I use Rover Now all the time and really love this experience. It will be hard to go back to how it currently is after using this. So our key performance indicators, we believe that these features increase trust for Rover Now users. These would potentially boost search to request and need to book numbers, which are used to measure existing conversion rates. We found some things that we didn't include in our actual proposed solutions. Some people want discounts for multiple dogs, or if they want their pet brought somewhere and brought to a different spot, some sort of transportation service. Some people want on-demand vet services. And then 60% want to know actually where their dog is real time while they're moving. And what's next for us would be, we'd want to build out the experience for returning users. We were really focused on the new users. We'd also want to look at the experience for sitters, and then we would want to do more usability testing with very specific metrics. Thank you. Any questions?
I don't know if anyone wanted to debrief, but I had just one question. You know how like with Uber, they like, you can see, they kind of have a, well, it's obviously like UberX and Comfort and things. Did you ever